This is a photo of the Hengyang, a Chinese warship, a Jiangkai-class frigate. It was taken off the coast of Australia by the Australian Defence Force on the 11th of February. Now, when it comes to last week's live fire drills conducted by the Chinese Navy ships, there is fierce disagreement and intense politicking on who knew what and when. Australian authorities say they never received advance notice and that they first heard of the potentially dangerous activity in the Tasman Sea from the pilot of a commercial flight over the area. China says they issued repeated safety notices in advance. Here's what we know so far. At 9:30 a.m, a flotilla of 3 Chinese warships begins a series of live fire drills. At 9:58, a Virgin pilot notifies Air Services Australia that they've heard a broadcast from a foreign warship conducting live firing 300 nautical miles off Australia's east coast. 2 minutes later, air traffic controllers establish a hazard alert, establishing an exclusion zone 18 kilometres around the flotilla at up to 45,000 feet above. And at 10:08 a.m, 10 minutes after the Virgin pilot's initial contact, Air Services Australia notifies the Australian Defence Force's Joint Operations Command Headquarters about the drill. Air Services Australia's Deputy Chief later told senators this.
Bearing in mind at that stage, we didn't know whether it was a potential hoax or real. We simply passed the information through as per standard procedure.
At 10:18 a.m, an Emirates commercial flight in radio contact with the Chinese warships directly is told the live firing exercise that began at 9:30 would finish at 2 p.m. And it's just after 11 a.m, an hour after that first notification, that the New Zealand Navy, which had been shadowing the Chinese flotilla, informs Australia of this live fire exercise. And following this, there's a flurry of emails, of notifications, of phone calls and briefings between aviation authorities, government ministers and defence officials. Ultimately, 49 aircraft are diverted on Friday. Some are rerouted while they're in the air, while others are given different flight paths to avoid the Chinese flotilla's location at sea. And the following day, the live fire exercises continue in international waters in the Tasman Sea. Flights continue to be diverted until Monday, until the flotilla had moved further south away from trans-Tasman flight paths. And as of Thursday morning, the flotilla is sailing west, entering the Great Australian Bight. There's still a lot we don't know. We don't know where the flotilla is headed next, or whether reports of a nuclear submarine accompanying the ships are accurate. And we don't know if more drills are planned. And this information vacuum is the perfect arena for a political fight. On one side, the opposition is accusing the government of being cagey with what's happening beyond our coast and questioning just how good our surveillance is. And on the other side, the government is basically arguing that politics should stop at the water's edge and that the opposition is deliberately politicising this story.
And we now see gunboat diplomacy being added to the litany of war talk from the opposition. Such rhetoric does not make Australians safer.
But this isn't just a fight about a flotilla off Australia's coast. It's increasingly about how Australia deals with an increasingly assertive superpower of this region.